Okay, so in writing a JavaScript and writing a JavaScript, it will be used in a server-side and a client-side programming. So what is a server-side programming? So in this server-side programming, the program code runs from the server hosting the website, okay, to be accessed by the client devices. And the advantage of the server-side programming is it connects a server to an online database containing information not directly accessible to the end users because it is saved in the server, okay, for the central access. And it has a disadvantage. It uses the server resources and requires the internet access, like to send the data, to save the data. And also, since the program code runs on a server, it will create a long delays in cases of system overload, especially if many of the client devices magdungan og access sa program that is run in a server. Okay, so this figure shows the flow of the server-side programming. Like the user using the client device retrieves the web page from the server, just like us, for example, accessing our account or Facebook account, like using the browser, lingon din tawag www.facebook.com. That way, we are trying to access our Facebook account that is saved in a server. And then the information is sent to a program running on the server. Then, as response, the server-side program processes the information and may send additional feedback to the user. Okay, so the response will be sent to the user's device. Now, the other hand, the client-side programming runs the program on the user's computer using the downloaded scripts with HTML and CSS files. Now, using the JavaScript, for example. It distributes load to avoid overloading of program-related requests. So it avoid long delays. These client-side programs can never replace the server-side programming. Yeah, because it runs on a client devices. Just like this, for the client-side programming, the user retrieves web page from the server. Then, the user runs the program locally, receiving the instant feedback. Now, what is a JavaScript? So it is a programming language for the client-side programs. So we'll be using the client-side programming using the JavaScript. So it is an interpreted language that executes a program code without using an application because we will be using a web page. Then there is a compiler which has a description of an application that translates a program code into a machine language, the ones and zeros, okay, as we know. And when we are going to create a JavaScript, this code can be directly inserted into the HTML file or linked to an HTML file. Inserted directly to an HTML file using the embedded script, and for linking to an HTML file using the external JavaScript. Okay, so in working with a script or in working with the JavaScript, we'll be using the script element. So this is the general syntax for using the external file or using the external JavaScript. So we have here the script element and the necessary attributes. Okay. Attributes for the external JavaScript is the source attribute. Okay, that is source is equal to the URL which is placed inside the double quote. The URL here specifies the external file containing the JavaScript code. And the embedded script can be used instead of the external file by omitting the source attribute. So we have here, okay, inside the head element of the HTML document, you have here your pair of opening script element and closing of script element. And inside this um, script opening and closing script element, you have here your JavaScript code. Okay. The script element can be placed anywhere within an HTML document, but usually it will be placed inside the head element. Okay. Then when a browser encounters a script, it immediately stops loading the page and begins loading and then processing the script commands. And we have the attributes differ and async. Okay, these attributes can be added to the script element to modify its sequence of processing. Now, what do you mean by async and differ attributes? Async attribute tells a browser to parse the HTML and JavaScript code together. So the script will be interpreted asynchronously. Differ, um, this differ attribute differs script processing until after the page has been completely parsed and loaded. Okay, so this interprets the um, script asynchronously, and this one i-load pa niya ang page, ay pa niya i-interpret ang script. So these two attributes are ignored for embedded script. So it will be used in an external script. Okay, so this figure shows on how to insert the script element. Okay, so inside the head element of your HTML document, we have here the script element and specifying the attributes source and differ. Source here specifies the JavaScript file that is saved in a specific location, and this differ attribute differs the loading the script file until the rest of the page is loaded by the browser. So how will you create a JavaScript program? So using the standard text editor. Any text editor using Sublime or the VS Code, Notepad, Notepad++, or other standard text editors. In JavaScript, you can also add comments. Okay, these comments help understand the design and purpose of programs. And this can be entered using a single line comment or multiple line comments. Okay, so a double / can be used for a single line comment, and for a multiple line comment, okay, you can use this one, / asterisk, and ends with asterisk /. Okay, so this is how will you create a multiple line comment for our JavaScript program. Okay, so parehas ra on writing comments in any programming languages like Java or C, or using the CSS, parehas ra. And so, diba, usually the comments will contain the description of your program and also the author, who created the program, and the date created. Okay, in this example, this is described by having the author of this reference and the name of the program. The author is the Hector Sadler and created on 3rd day of January 2017. Okay, so in writing a JavaScript command, it ends with a semicolon. Okay, so each of the commands should end in a semicolon. Then, so we have here the function to display a dialog box. You can use the window.alert or simply alert. Okay, with the open and close parentheses inside the double quote, you have here your message or the info to be displayed. Okay, so these are the text to be displayed in the dialog box. So this window.alert is used to run the alert dialog box in the browser window, something like this. Okay, the message is welcome to Tulsa. So we have here the message or the text that is displayed in the dialog box is welcome to Tulsa, and by default there is a button OK. Now, understanding the JavaScript syntax, okay, same with the other programming languages, JavaScript is case sensitive. So when you name your variable like first name in all caps, it's different from naming your variable in first name in small caps, diba? And also, extra white space between commands is ignored, so in JavaScript. So there is a line breaks that are placed within the name of a JavaScript command or a quoted text string. Okay, so it can cause an error for that. Now, it cannot be avoided that you can encounter some errors in creating your JavaScript code. Now, how will you debug your code? Sorry. Okay, okay. For a while, huh? Okay. So debugging is the process of locating and fixing a programming error. And there are many types of errors. We have the load time, the runtime, the logical errors. Okay. Usually in most of the programming languages, we have the runtime and the logical errors. Load time errors occur when a script is first loaded by a browser. Okay. And the runtime, this occurs during the execution of the program or here in the script without the syntax errors. Logical errors are syntax free and executable mistakes, but result in an incorrect output, like incorrect logic that you have used in your program. Now, in opening a debugger, you can use the F12 in most of the browser. Okay, So these tools can be opened by selecting the developer tools from the browser menu. Okay. And there is a technique to locate the source of an error to set up the breakpoints. So these breakpoints are locations where a browser pauses a program to determine whether an error has occurred at that point during the execution para dali ra pag-trace sa imuhang errors. So you're going to put breakpoints. Okay, so this is a figure on inserting a breakpoint using the Google Chrome. So using the developer tools, we have here an breakpoint that is inserted in this line 12. Okay. Now, applying the strict usage of JavaScript, we have to use the use strict command that is placed inside the double quote. Okay, that is, this strict mode enables all lapses in syntax to result in load time or the runtime errors. Okay, and in JavaScript, we are going to work on different objects, properties, and methods. These objects are entity within a browser or a web page that has properties and methods. Properties, okay, I know that you have the background in Java, so just a recall on a class, and a class can be created, can be instantiated using the objects. Okay, and an object can be used to access the properties and the methods, diba? So properties is used or are used to define objects, and methods are used to act upon objects. And this JavaScript is an object-based language. So that is why we'll be using the object. Okay. This JavaScript is an object-based language that manipulates an object by changing one or more of its properties. And when we say about objects, there are many types: the built-in, the browser objects, the document objects, and the customized objects. The built-in objects are intrinsic to JavaScript language. So those are the built-in objects, the predefined objects. The browser objects are part of the browser. Document objects are part of web document. And the customized objects are the objects created by a programmer to use in an application. So there are two types of object in JavaScript. We have the browser object model and the document object model. So they will be used to organize browser and document objects in hierarchical structures, respectively. So this figure shows the object hierarchy in JavaScript. So we have the window, and in the window, we have the document, history, screen, navigator, and location. And under the document object, we have the we can use the anchors, applets, scripts, style sheets, links, plugins, frames, and images. Now, the objects within the hierarchy are referenced by their object names, such as the window, document, or the navigator. And we can use the reference using the referencing notation, the dot. Okay, just like object 1 dot object 2 dot object 3. Okay, here object 1 is at the top of the hierarchy. And object 2 is the child of the object and so on. Just like, for example, when you are going to display a dialog box, you are going to say window.alert. Okay? Window is the parent, is the top hierarchy of the alert object. Okay? And objects are organized into groups. So to reference a specific member of an object collection, we have to use the subscript operator or the dot. Okay? So here, collection is a reference to the object collection. And here, the ID ref is either an index number or the value of the ID attribute. So the ID attributes that was um, used in naming our form controls will be used in here. So this figure shows the document object collections. Just like for the document that anchors, all elements marked with anchor tag will be used. The forms, okay, this object document.form will be used for all web forms. So later we will be using this one. Okay. Then document.links will be used for all hypertext links and so on. Okay. So we have also the referencing by object or an object by ID attribute and name attribute. So an efficient approach to reference an element is to use its ID attribute using the expression document.getElement by ID. And this ID here that is placed inside the parentheses is the ID value that is used in the form, okay, specified in the ID attribute. Okay, so for changing properties and applying the methods, we have here object.property. So object here is a reference to an object and the property is a property associated with that object. And there are read-only properties that cannot be modified. And for applying the method, okay, so we have here object.method and we have the parentheses. Inside the parentheses, specify on necessary parameters for that method. And we can also write the HTML code using the element.inner HTML. So this HTML code stored within a page element in referenced using this one. So here, element is an object reference to an element within a web document. Okay. So in this example, it displays the current date and time. So we have here document.getElement by ID that is named date now. And the .inner HTML will be used to an element within the web document. So .inner HTML is equal to month, date, and year. And we have inserted a line break here. Then we have the hours, minutes, and seconds. Okay, on the next lesson, we will have the demonstration on this date. Okay, so this figure shows the properties and methods to insert content for the element Okay, so element.innerHTML returns the HTML code within element. And element.outerHTML returns the HTML code within element as well as the HTML code of element itself. Now, element.textContent returns the text within element, disregarding any HTML tags. And the last one is element.insert adjacent HTML, where we have to specify the position and the text inside the parameter. Okay, this will insert HTML code defined by text into element at position, where this position is one of the following: the before begin, after begin, before end, and after end. Okay. Now, JavaScript, we can work on variables. So variable are named item in a program that stores a data value. How will you declare a variable in JavaScript? So we have the var keyword, space, then followed by the variable name. Okay, is equal to the value. So here, the variable name is the name assigned to a variable. And this is case sensitive. And the value here is the variable's initial value. Then you can also have the condition to assign the variable names in JavaScript. We can have the first character must be a letter or underscore character, just like naming a variable in any programming languages. Like, you cannot start your variable with a number with a special character, but only underscore is acceptable. And also, your variable name must have no spaces. And of course, no using names that are part of JavaScript language. So those JavaScript keywords cannot be used as variable names, function names in JavaScript. And also, you can specify the data type using the value being assigned to the variable. Okay, so the data type is the type of information stored in a variable. And these are the supported data types in JavaScript. So we have here the numeric value, the text string, the Boolean value, the object, and the null value. Okay, text string, Boolean, object, and the null value. Numeric value, you can have also the integer, where the you don't have the decimal parts of the number. You can have also the number with the decimal parts, the exponential form, okay, the text string, the Boolean value for true or false values. So for the numeric value, you can have any types of number. The text string are a group of characters enclosed within either double quote or single quotation marks. Okay, so in Java or C++, you can have a character for, a single quotation mark for a character, double quotation mark for the text. So in JavaScript, pwede ra ka mo gamit og double quote or single quote for a text string. For the Boolean value, this will indicate the truth or the falsity of a statement. Okay. And the object simplifies code by removing the need to rewrite complicated object references. And the null value indicates that no value has yet been assigned to a variable. So we have the null value. So this figure um, is used by creating a date object. So we have here um, var current day. So this current day is a variable that will be used to store the current date and time. And we have here is equal to new date. So new keyword will be used to create an object, to instantiate an object. And here the date object is created. And the date specified, okay, and the date and time is stored in the date object. Okay, May 23, 2018, 14:35:05. Okay, so we have here the several methods of the date object. Like for the date, like var, this day is equal to new date, May 23, 2018, 14:35:05. We can get the um, specific, or we can use the specific methods for getting like the time, the minutes, hours, the date, month, full year, get day, using the method like get seconds. And the object this day will be used. So this day dot get seconds to get the seconds. In this case, seconds is 5. And this day dot get minutes will be used to get the minutes. In this case is 35. This day dot get hours is used to get the hours. In this case, we have 14. Get month, we have 4. Why it's 4? Because the first month starts at 0. So January is 0, February is 1, March, April, May. So May is 4. And get for year, a full year is 2018. Okay. Get day, this will display or return the day of the week where Sunday is 0, Monday is 1, and in this case, 3 is returned. This day dot to local date string will be used to get the date using the local conventions. Okay, local date string, we have 5/23/2018. So month is May, date is 23, and year is 2018. And to local time string is get the local time to 2:35:05 p.m. So not in the 24-hour format. Okay, so this figure shows the dates and the times being displayed. So we have the two variables here containing the text string of the current date, the local date and the local time. Local date is 5/23/2018 and the local time is 2:35:05 p.m. And here, this will be used to display the current date and time. Document is an object, and the get element by ID will be used to get the value of the ID attribute date now. Dot inner HTML is equal to date str. So this is the variable that will be used, that is used to store the local date string, and followed by the line break, the BR. In a new line, we have the value of the time str to display the local time string. So in this case, using the inner HTML, the value of date str and time str is displayed in a web page in the date now say tawag ana date now ID attribute in the document. So this table shows the JavaScript methods to set values of the date object. Okay, to set the date, we have here date.set. Okay, to set the 4-digit year value of date, we have that.set full year of the value. Then set hours is to set the 24-hour format of the value of date. Okay, set millisecond, set the millisecond value of date. To set the minutes, we have here set minutes, set month, set second, and the set time. Now, you can work also the operators and operands in JavaScript, wherein the operators are symbols used to act upon an item or a variable within an expression. So you can work also an operand in an expression. Okay, so operands are variables or expressions that operators act upon. Okay, so for example, in an expression, you have two operands like a plus b. A and b there are operands, and plus is an operator. So we have the binary operators that requires two operands like a plus, b. So it's an expression, an example of a binary expression. So we have A and B are operands, and plus here is an operator. Unary operators require one operand, just like increment or decrement. A plus plus B. It's an example of unary operators. And also the JavaScript assignment operators. We have equals, plus equals, minus equals. It's a compound expression of this, like x is equal to x plus y can be shortened to x plus equals y. Okay, I know that you have used some of these assignment operators. Now you can work also with the math objects. Okay, math objects are built-in objects used to perform the mathematical tasks and store the mathematical values. And this is syntax to apply a math method. Okay, start with math object dot method and the expression. And the method here is the method applied to a mathematical expressions. And this figure shows some of the methods of the math object. Like math.abs returns the absolute value of x. Just like, for example, math.abs and -5 is placed inside the parentheses. So it's the parameter of abs. So in this case, you are going to return 5 for this example. So 5, y5, is the absolute value of -5 is being returned. And math.ceil is used to rounds x to or rounds up x to the nearest highest integer. Okay, so in this example, the value is 3.58. So using the math.ceil, the value 4 is being returned. Okay, math.floor is opposite to math.ceil. Okay, so it's rounds down to the nearest or the next lowest integer. So round down siya to 3. Okay, we have here also max, min, pow, round, and square root. Max is to return the larger value of x and y of the two parameters. Like max of 3 and 5, we have 5 value returned. Then math.pow returns the x raised to the power of y. So in this case, 2 to the power of 3, so 8 is returned. Rand will be used to return the random number between 0 and 1. Okay. And you can use that one. And also you can have the math constants. Okay. Like pi. Diba? The value of pi cannot be changed. It's constant. So those like properties of math objects having the constant value. So math functions refer to the built-in constants stored in JavaScript math object. And this is the syntax to access the mathematical constants. Okay, math.constant. And constant here is the name of one of the mathematical constants supported by the math objects. And these are some of the math constants. Math.e, math.pi, where the value is 3.14159. Now, we can work also with the JavaScript functions. So functions are a collection of commands that perform an action or returns a value. Okay, functions or methods. Function names identify a function and a set of commands that are run when a function is called. In a function, you can have parameters. So these are variables associated with the function. This is the general syntax of a JavaScript function. We have, okay, to define a function in JavaScript, we can use the keyword function. Okay, so function keyword followed by the function name. Okay, and open and close parentheses here is necessary. And you may have the parameters. To start your function body, you have the opening curly brace and closing curly brace. Okay, between these braces, you have there your commands to perform a specific task of the function. Okay, take note, function name here is the name of the function. Parameters is a comma-separated list of variables used in the function. The commands here are set of statements run by the function. Now you can call the function using the function name and the open and close parentheses and specify the parameters. Okay, necessary for parameters. This one, run clock, is the command to execute the run clock function. So upon seeing this run clock function call, it will look for the run clock function definition without parameters. So it's here. So this function store the current date and the time. So whatever the commands inside this function will be interpreted. You may have the function that will return a value or value returning function. So to return a value in a function, you have the return command. A return followed by a value. So value here is the calculated value that is returned by the function. Again, you may have the parameters here. Now we have methods to update the current and the remaining time constantly. You may have the time delayed or the time interval commands, but we will not work on this for now. Later, Anisha, later activity. Okay, set timeout is used to time delay, to define the time delay. Okay, and to specify the interval. Okay, something like this, it will repeat the clock function every second. Now, controlling how JavaScript works with the numeric values, especially when working with um, calculators, simple calculators, you may have the none value that will be returned. So like it will be shown, especially if there are illegal operations being done. So handling the illegal operations, we have the mathematical operations can return the results that are not numeric values. That is why the none value will be returned. Okay, none value will be returned if an operation does not involve only numeric values. And is none function returns a boolean value of true if the value is not numeric and false is otherwise. And we have the infinity. Okay, if you have encountered an infinite value. Okay, infinity value is generated for an operation whose result is less than the smallest numeric value and greater than the largest numeric value supported by the JavaScript. Okay, so JavaScript stores a numeric value to 16 decimal places of the accuracy. And toFix method will be used to the number of digits displayed by browsers. So value dot toFix and pass the n as parameters, where value here is the value of or variable and n is the number of decimal places displayed in the output. So value dot to fixed, and the parameters specify the decimal places. So the toFixed method limits the number of decimals displayed by a value and converts the value into a text string. And this rounds the last digit in an expression rather than truncating the value. So here, the operator plus will be used to concatenate or adds a text string to a number. Just like here, test number is a variable being assigned with a value or numeric value 1 to 3, and a test string, okay, stores the value of the test number followed by a space. Okay? Again, the plus operator here concatenates the numeric value. Okay. Numeric value of test number 1, 2, 3 and the empty character. ParseInt is a function that will extract the leading integer value from a text string, just like using 120.88 pounds. This will extract the integer value 120. Okay. And for this function, parseInt weight equals 120 pounds, this will return none. Ano man, it's not numeric man. Weight equals, it's not numeric. So none value is being returned. So these are the numerical functions and methods. Is infinite, is none, parse float, parseInt. So these are the functions to be used for the numerical values. ParseInt to extract the first integer, and parse float is to extract the first numeric value. Okay, first numeric value of the text string. Like parse float 23.05 kilograms. So the value to be extracted is 23.05. So it's being displayed. Okay, so that's end our slides. And for the demonstration, we will be using the VS Code. Okay, wait for a while. I will be shifting to the other. Okay, wait for a while, huh? Mhm. Okay, for a while. Okay. Okay, so we'll be creating a simple registration and get the value being entered by the user. So first, we'll be creating a an HTML document. Okay, we'll be saving this one and save this one as registration dot html, save, and okay, then I will have here inside the body we will be creating a registration form. We will name this one. We will have the title of registration form. Okay, there's somebody who's trying to get in. Pinapay. Okay, then we'll be creating a division here. Inside this division, we'll be creating a form. Pailain si Avila. Okay, so inside the form, we will be creating label um, for first name. Mm, this is for first name. And next, we have the input type is equal to text. And we have the ID attribute that is equal to fname. And name is equal to fname. And we will have the placeholder like first name. Apay mo sulod. Okay. All right. Next is this is for first name, last name, middle initial, age. Pala yung sulod si Mark Daniel. Okay, first name, last name. This is for last name. L name here. And the name is L name. Placeholder is last name. Then this one is for the middle initial. This one, MI. And here it's text. ID is MI. MI. And the placeholder is MI. And we will, for the maximum length of middle initial, we have 1. Okay, and the age, this one is for age. Age, and it's for the age. This one, the name, attribute value is also age, and placeholder is age. Okay. All right, and the max length of age is 2. Okay, so 2 decimal digits for the age. And we will have one button, um, input type that is submit, and the value is, we'll name this one as save. Okay, save. And then to define the style, wait, we'll just open this one. Sample JavaScript registration. Someone is here. Okay, so for the style, we'll be using the embedded style na lang. We'll have the style, then input and type that is equals to text. We'll have the width that is 100. Okay, 100%. And the padding is 12 px by 20 px. Then margin, we will specify like 8 px by 0. Okay, and then to display the inline block, okay, later na lang na. Then the input type, which is submit, okay, auto na lang ibutang diri. F5, so nanata. Input type that is equal to submit. I know. We will just remove this one and specify the disparate style for the button. For the submit, width is also 100%. And the background color, we will set the background color of 4 CA F50. Okay, that shade of green. And then color is white. Okay, so we have the white color for the button value. Padding is okay, 14 px by 20 px. Margin, we will have 8 px by 0. And then we'll have the border, no border. The radius, border radius that is 4px para dili kay siya hait. And you can set the cursor pointer. Okay. Or you can have the hand for this. And also we will set the radius also here. Okay, the border that is 1px. We have solid for the border, and the color is something like gray. Border radius is also 4px. And okay, F5. So we have here. Okay. And also, we're going to change the color when we hover the button. So input type that is equal to submit, and when we're going to hover, when you hover, the background color will be changed to something like 50A, okay, 45, yeah, A049. Okay. So that right, when we hover, naa siya gamayng diferensya. Okay. So we are done with the HTML, and okay, not yet the design. We'll design the division with border radius of 5px, then the background color, we're using the F2, but color gray, and the padding is 20px. Save. F5. Okay. Also, we'll be using the border box sizing. That is okay. Para di siya mo sahila dito. Now we are done with the style and the JavaScript. I mean the style and the HTML document. We are ready to create a JavaScript. So for the JavaScript, we'll be creating an external JavaScript for this. So new file, and we will save this one as a JavaScript. Okay, all files, and name this one as info.javascript.js. Okay, save. Okay, so in here we will be creating a function, and it is named info. I mean, ano lang, personal info. Okay. Personal info. Inside here, we will be creating variables for a first name, last name, age, and var like name is equal to. So here we'll be creating the document object to get the value being entered by the user. So using the ID attribute. So it's important to remember the ID attributes of each, okay, first name, last name, um, MI, age. Okay, so document that get element by ID will be used, and here whatever the um, the value of the ID attribute, we have named L name, okay, and that value. Okay. Get element by ID and that value. Okay. So okay, we have here for the first name, age, and middle initial. Sige, para ano lang, sunod. So MI, then last one is the age. Then has F name, age, sorry, MI, then age. Okay, so here we will just, for example, we'll be creating an alert display using the alert dialog box. First name, and concatenate the value of the variable f name. Okay, kana lang sa save. Okay. Now let's try to run F5. Yes. Sample run. Oops. Sorry. We're not yet having the on-click attribute. Like on clicking this save button, we have to call the JavaScript. Okay, wala pa nato gitawag ang JavaScript here. Okay, there's someone who is trying to get in. Saan naman to? Tara. Wala na. Herana. Okay. Time na. 11:50. So, wait. Hapit na lang. Hapit na. Okay. Hapit na. Gamay na lang kuwang. It's 11:50. Okay, so inside this one, we will be calling the JavaScript file. So using the script element, the source attribute that is saved using the file name info.js. Okay, and you can have the other attribute to specify the text JavaScript. Okay, save. And when you click this one, we will have the on-click attribute and call the function personal info. Personal in small, that's personal info. Okay, save, and F. We're going to run this one, F5. Des Cortez. Ang first name pa atong ikuhaan ni ha. 20. Okay, so we have got the first name. And here you can concatenate the other information, just like the last name. Okay, so you can have the /n for okay. So /n for the new line, last name. Okay, and plus the variable storing the last name. Okay, and plus the new line and the middle initial. Okay, plus the mi. Then plus in a new line we'll have the age and the age. Okay. Mhm. Okay. F5. Yes. 20. Okay. So, plus age, C, ang age, asa naman tong age? We have to convert the age to a value. Sorry. Okay. Age. Okay. Parse int. Okay. Mhm. All right. So you can convert the text string, numeric string to a number using the parse int. All right. So basically we have displayed the information and we have got the information being entered by the user and display using the alert dialog box. And also you can use the document.alert to display. All right. So I hope that you got something from this demonstration and discussion of JavaScript. Okay.